We back, and 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 we back.
The year 2003. In music, Hey Ya by Outkast is racing up the charts. The Simpsons Hit and Run is quickly becoming one of the best games for the PS2, and the latest of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies is hitting theaters worldwide. But with all this, our favorite TV networks are still going strong this year as well. With Nick, they were still going crazy with their creator-driven Nicktoons. Heavy hitters such as My Life as a Teenage Robot, Invader and Chalkzone were representing the new era their network was in quite well. Disney wasn't doing too bad either, with both their sitcoms and animated series like Lizzie McGuire, Kim Possible, and That's So Raven repping their channel for years to come. But these two weren't the only ones of the big three doing well this year. Last but not least, Cartoonnetwork was pushing out hit after hit, all of which were doing just as good, if not better, than the TV competitors. Time Squad, K&D, Billy and Mandy, Clone Wars, and many, many more. Sure, by this point a lot of their original series were either going through seasonal rot or reaching the end of their runs, but that doesn't mean that the network was running out of good shows to put out, and if you read the title or seen the thumbnail, then you'd know exactly what we're here for. Premiering on July 19th, 2003, Titans seemed like something so much more different than anything on the network at the time. Sure, we had stuff like Batman the Animated Series, but here was a team of heroes that no one except comic book nerds ever heard of, except maybe Robin. And throughout 5 seasons, a movie, and even a reboot series, which we'll get to later, it managed to captivate an audience for a really long time. But yet, Titans is also in a really weird spot among animation fans. Its relevance only still being there because of a reboot that people seem to flip-flop between loving and hating. But what does the original show have that people hold so dear? Is it still good all these years later? Well, that's what I'm here to find out. As my first video of this new year, join me as I go over every season, every episode, and every event. Welcome to Go, the importance of Teen Titans.
Now talk! Who's Slade? And in case you haven't noticed, I just became left-handed! Look, it doesn't matter how we got into this mess. We're in it, and we will get out of it. Together.
Give it up for Common and Kanye West.
Similar to any other show, Titans' first season gives us a good look into what the rest of the series has to offer, with quick-paced action, great fight choreography, and even an overarching story that doesn't feel too forced in or overstay its welcome. With that in mind, Season 1 seems to be covered in mostly filler episodes. They can be fun and a good time, something you'd hear me say for a lot of the show, but in the first season, really make it obvious that plot-focused episodes will end up being few and far between. The show's kind of a half and half of both Batman the Animated Series and, funnily enough, Spider-Man 90. On one hand, you got these snarky teens spouting quippy one-liners while trying to defeat the bad guy of the week, but on the other, you have these individuals brought together by their own destinies in order to protect Jump City. It's really entertaining watching both these sides of the show come together as one.
Well, whoever they are, they're no match for the Teen Titans. I heard that!
Not that it hasn't been mentioned by the 10 billion other people who talked about the show, but the series has a massive anime influence that goes along with it too, inspired by the likes of Fooly Cooly. The show does a great job with the expressions in these small scenes, not too bubbly and not too stilted at the same time. Staying true to that anime influence is the intro, being performed by Japanese pop group Puffy Amiyumi. The intro helps give a base level explanation of what the show's about. Sure, it's not awe-inspiring like other superhero shows out there, but I personally think that it gives the show its own personality. In a similar vein to Batman the Animated Series, not every villain the team faced was truly evil. Some like Thunder, Lightning, and Fix-It had to simply have lessons taught to them by the Titans in order to turn over a new leaf. That's what I like about this show, even though the theme song has the lyrics, it doesn't always reign true here. There's humanity in these characters, not just the main ones, but even the ones that oppose them.
Perhaps I am the one in need of repairs.
And maybe I'm the guy who can help repair you.
Another one of the many aspects Titans has that I thoroughly enjoy is its atmosphere. The teen here isn't just for branding. I mean, it is, but anyway, these characters go through arcs of growth, not physically, but character-wise. Whether it be Cyborg's struggles of being part robot, Starfire's lack of knowledge of Earth, or Raven's difficulty getting close to the team. Each of these remain believable and continue to shape our characters throughout the rest of the series. But the teen in the name also implies how they act. We see them lash out, argue, partake in camaraderie, and so much more, giving the show a more believable feel too.
Hey, just because I lost that video game,
And the toothpaste, and my football, and a waffle iron.
things disappear.
Now, while the show would go on to have a motherload of villains, both consistent and one-off, the main big bad for the whole series is Slade.
Cock back the hammer, watch me lay him down. Saw face the villains, we don't play around.
The series has a list of villains. The goofy like Mumbo Jumbo, the weirdly charming like Mad Mond, big brutes like Plasmus and Cinderblock. But Slade towers over them all. He makes significant changes to the Titans. He gets in their heads, makes them doubt every move. He's always 10 steps ahead, and everything he does is in the process of destroying the Titans. And the fact that he's voiced by Hellboy himself, Ron Perlman, just makes him ooze cool. His delivery gives that sinister edge that makes a fantastic villain. And I'd go as far as to say he plays his part as a bad guy extremely well. Go ahead and tell me yours, but the all-time best episode for season 1 will always be Apprentice.
Looking out my window, sun shining bright.
After a season's worth of episodes, it was nice to see the first one wrapped up with a neat little bow, in such a great way too, with Robin being forced into a corner by Slade, having to act as his apprentice, with the threat of his entire team being annihilated. Slade even gets in his head a few times in part 2.
You won't admit it, but at some level, you enjoyed stealing from me. You're going to keep stealing, Robin. And you're going to keep getting that thrill. And sooner or later, you will see things my way.
You can sense such raw emotion out of these characters. The frustration Robin feels as Slade dangles in front of him what he knows about our hero. Apprentice ticks all of the boxes for what a series like this should have. It helps give a little bit of a window into how complex these characters are. Both the heroes and our villain, their trusts in one another are tested, their ideals are challenged. It all makes this episode worth watching again and again. Onwards to season 2. If there was ever a word to describe season 2, it would be more. More of everything that made the first season great, and then some. More action, more comedy, more of the human moments that I mentioned previously, more story, just more of everything. Episodes in this season started becoming slightly more high concept and complex than season 1. How Long is Forever, Only Human, Fear Itself, all of these help firmly establish those arcs that I mentioned before. That being said, there are just as many filler episodes too, and let's just say they're not exactly great. Don't get me wrong, some of them can be a fun watch, like Date with Destiny and Winner Take All. But Every Dog Has His Day, Transformation, and Fractured more pad out the season than take us forward, with painfully slow plots and dialogue.
Change! Change!
Another main focus for this season is Tara. With a character like Tara, it's kind of complicated to describe how she is during the season. I guess a word like that could help. Complicated. She shows up in a few episodes in the season, and from that point on, it's an on-again, off-again mini-arc within the series. But strangely enough, even though she was there for a total of 5 episodes, we see her go through so much in just those 5. Doubt, fear, confidence, anger, betrayal, and sacrifice. It's crazy to claim that a character got developed in just a short time this season, but it rings true here, and Tara definitely was a welcome shake-up for the season. Now, every season has its favorite episode from me, and for season 2, it's How Long is Forever.
Ladies and gentlemen,
This episode is nothing short of amazing. After a run-in with Warp, a one-off time-traveling villain, we get to see what a future without the Teen Titans would look like. It really does help show how important these 5 characters are to each other, how far from grace they'd fall if they ended up splitting from one another. This one really just has a somber mood for most of its runtime. Sure, there are episodes like Aftershock that showcase way more in terms of action and story, and don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic episode, but with the whole story and sort of mysterious vibe this episode gives off, it has to be my number 1. Most of season 2 comes from a place of improvement. The first season, while showing great promise, needed a lot more to get it there, and this season feels like another stepping stone to that point. With episodes like this, I feel like things can only get better from here.
If you're done wasting time, why don't we save your city?
Now, out of every season, season 3 just might be my pick for the best. The animation's smoother, we get introductions to more mainstay villains that aren't just throwaways like Brother Blood. There's some world building like the inclusion of Steel City and Titans East. It really does give off the impression that the team behind Titans found their footing with this season.
Mírame, soy pelo grande. Arrodíllase y adora mi pelo hermoso.
I mentioned back in my season 2 bit that episodes were slowly becoming more high concept and complex, and it's no different here. Deception being the episode introducing Brother Blood hooks you in with the expansion of previously unknown concept like the Hive Academy, even furthering the fact that these characters, although they fit under specific labels, are still just teens and have humanity in them. Same can be said about Haunted, an episode that reminds its audience the scars that Slade left behind over the last 2 seasons. These plots don't just act as hurdles for our characters to get over and forget. They're powerful landmarks in the story that help drive their development as the seasons go on. And even the endings to these episodes can have a powerful feel to them. Sure, there are some episodes I consider duds like Spellbound, Can I Keep Him, or Bunny Raven, but overall the wide gap between plot episodes and comedy episodes has shortened with this season, which is a much welcome change for me. With all of these episodes, one of them immediately snatched up my prize for favorite, and that would be X. Who knew a plot point from season 1's story somehow weaseling its way back into an episode would make for one of the best stories and plot threads in Titan's run? From its cold open all the way to the end, X is like storytelling food for the mind. Here we see the lines of heroism and villainy blurred with the Titans' first and only anti-hero throughout the series, Red X, a completely different one in this episode, more ruthless and only caring about himself. The best part? We never truly know who he is. He remains a mystery.
Okay, if he's not Robin's evil twin, then he's obviously a bionic monkey infused with Robin's DNA.
There's so much to love about this episode, honestly. The dynamic action, intense close calls, snarky dialogue from X as he slips past each one of his enemies, it all builds up to one of the best episodes Titans has to offer. And I can say the same about the rest of the season too.
Don't tell me I lost that thing again.
Cyborg.
Thanks, dude.
I keep mentioning how episode concepts from each season slowly but surely became more high concept, and season 4 is kind of a boiling point for it all, by giving us an interconnected story arc. It acts as the crux for a very Raven-focused story. Whole episodes would be dedicated to her struggle as the Titans face off against their biggest foe yet. It litters the season with everything I, as an animation fan, enjoy. Cryptic clues, thrilling action, the return of villains past, and a whole mystery to tie it together. And once it gets going, it takes you on an almost never-ending adventure with its story that I personally enjoyed the heck out of. It makes it very obvious that this isn't the same Teen Titans we've been watching since season 1. There's a dramatic tone shift, dialogue's less goofy, a lot of scenes even have more of a melodramatic feel to them, and it's amazing. I was just in awe the whole time. It's here where I can say that Titans went from a very typical superhero show to something truly special.
No. This was just the beginning.
It's also at this part of the series where I kind of started enjoying the filler way less than before. I know that can make my opinions very mixed for a lot of you, but believe me when I say it gets tiring having a really good story episode just for it to be pushed to the back burner with a silly episode. Maybe it was fun for seasons 1 to 3, but not here when the story is getting good. Like, there isn't really that much substance here anyways, outside of a few introductions to new villains. And overall, I can't really say I found myself enjoying episodes like Cyborg the Barbarian and Employee of the Month.
I want my mini-me!
I'll be in the back.
With all that season 4 does for itself and how much I praise that part of it, you'd think that my favorite episode would end up being one of those story episodes I mentioned previously. And you'd be right. Let me introduce you to The End. Everything that I mentioned previously is encompassed within these 3 episodes. Much like season 1's finale Apprentice, the ongoing mystery finally gets revealed in the end as the Titans face their greatest foe yet, Trigon, a being of pure chaos, whose only goal is to have humanity bow down to him. We see our heroes face personal demons, how far their feats take them in order to save the world, even having them team up with one of their worst enemies.
It's the end of the world. Did you think it would be easy?
This really does have the feel of a true ending to Titans. There wasn't really anywhere to go from there but end it. But that's not really what happened, is it? Even though Season 4 would have done an amazing job of capping off Titans, there was another season to do that instead, and if I were to say that I was disappointed with the way it was handled, then I'd be wrong. Season 5, in all honesty, is still pretty great, all things considered. The season harkens back to the feel of seasons 1 to 3, but with that added zing Season 4 had by having an interconnected story. And while I adore the story in Season 4, Season 5's execution of the story was handled so much better, with even the episodes that would usually be considered filler being used to introduce or flesh out other minor characters like seasons past did. A big highlight for this season is the Brotherhood of Evil, a supervillain team consisting of the Brain, Monsieur Mala, Madame Rouge, and General Immortus, all 4 of them acting as the big bads throughout the season, attempting to completely eradicate the Titans and their ideas from the face of the earth. I mean, they're no Slade, but for what are essentially filler villains in a more or less filler season, they do their jobs pretty well. The season might not have the same achievements as the ones previous to it, but I do like what they attempted to do for the most part. Introductions to new heroes, a continued story arc throughout, and even a final episode showcasing the growth of the Titans. Speaking of which, the final few episodes house my favorite with this season, those being Calling All Titans and Titans Together. These 2 episodes are great for a lot of reasons. It showed the layer of vulnerability that the Titans have. It presented a new era for the Titans, allying themselves with several heroes around the globe. How the Brotherhood of Evil match up against our very heroes, and even attempt to stomp them out by recruiting every villain the Titans have ever faced. It turns into an all-out brawl, hero against villain, superpower against superpower, with our heroes coming out on top after it all, ending the series on the best note it could at that point. Season 5 might have not been the best way to cap off the series, but for a 5th season to Titans, it isn't necessarily all that bad. But there's still one more piece of media to cover.
Pack your things. We're heading for Tokyo.
Sweet, we're going on vacation.
Teen Titans Trouble in Tokyo. Now that's a name I haven't heard since...
Geek, are you okay?
It was a different time. Being honest, I thought I wouldn't have any strong feelings for the movie at this stage. I mean, we've been through 5 TV seasons, all of which helped flesh out the series and characters. But as its own thing, Trouble in Tokyo is just plain fun to watch.
Woo, yeah! Hello, Japan! So, when do we get to go see the Great Wall?
Never. It's in China.
With a show partly inspired by anime, it was cool to see the Titans in the lively city of Japan. Seeing the Titans explore a new area that housed its own style compared to Jump City was pretty sweet, giving the movie a kind of fish out of water vibe. The new villain, Brushogun, was a good refresher for the series up until this point, with a tragic origin story, unique powers, and a whole mystery behind him, helping the story by giving it twists and turns as our heroes uncover the mystery of the movie. This movie also caps off the relationship between Robin and Starfire. We toil around for seasons with the will they won't they, and it's grossly sweet here. Seeing it end in probably the cheesiest way kind of felt earned, weirdly enough.
Well, it's about time.
Trouble in Tokyo is a fun watch. I didn't go into it thinking that it ended the series, but as a companion piece to it. It's definitely in my favorite CN movies for sure. Revisiting Titans was a really interesting experience. Its legacy lived on through shows like Young Justice, which I believe took a bit of inspiration from it. However, as of now, it lives on through its successor, Teen Titans Go, which, despite what you think of it, it's pretty obvious which iteration's getting more attention. The landscape today looks so much more different than it did before. In a world where people obsess over the next big story-driven show with multiple seasons and deep characters, or the next reboot that's deemed trash before it even comes out, it was nice to go back in time where things were less complicated, but still enjoyable. And that's no dig at the new shows out now, but if you're burnt out on the state of animation and want a nice palate cleanser, then I guess it's no harm visiting this old gem from 2003.
There is good and there is evil. There are those who commit crimes and those who stop them. The two sides are opposite, as different as day and night.
I don't exactly fit in.
He's green, half of me is metal, and she's from space. You fit in just fine.
I'm just doing my job, you know? No big deal.
Well, it's a big deal to us. Good friends don't come along every day, you know? Look, this may not be the perfect team, but it's all we've got. We're the Teen Titans now. If we work together, we can accomplish anything. I'm on my way. Over.
Looks like it's gonna be a great day today to get some fresh air like a stray on a straightaway. Hey you, got a light? Nah, a Bud Light. Early in the morning, face crud from like a mud fight. Looky here, it's just the way the cookie tear. Prepare to get hurt and mangled like Kurt Angle rookie year. The rocket scientist with the pocket wine list. Some even say he might need some psychiatrist. Doom, are you pondering what I'm pondering? Yes, why would the darn thing be wandering? She's just a foundling, barely worth fondling. My posse's on Broadway like Mama, I want to sing. Mad plays the bass like the race card. Villain in the place to break shards and leave a face scarred. Groovy dude, not to prove to be rude, but this stuff is like